Show screen.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now we're looking at the cryptocurrency trading. We're looking at a book, which is one of your books.
Well, yes, I'm just introducing myself. I mean, people may not know who I am. So I'm just, I've been trading since the 80s. I've been written a few books. The Way to Trade was translated into Chinese. And I quite like the fact I've written a book I can't read. Basically. Actually, interestingly, you mentioned that all these various newsletters promoting the cryptos is an indicator or not. And actually, I did use them as an indicator because back in April, I went out of Bitcoin. I sold, I think, one of my Bitcoins. Because I think it's always good to start small in these things. It's always good to start as well. Because one of the problems, I mean, when we gave the webinar, was it a month ago now, Simon?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't really understand what Bitcoin were, what cryptos were. And I've realized since then that really it's a bit like swimming. If you don't get your foot in the water, then you never understand how to swim. And you just got to get involved. That's the only way to understand these things. And it may seem a strange thing, but certainly I was reluctant to get involved to start with, and I got involved because a colleague of mine who I've worked with before just recommended something called BitClub Network, and this is the mining company. And he'd been in it for a year. He made 100% just by buying the mining shares. And I thought, well, this is a great idea. I put $3,500 in here. I've got to worry about the price of Bitcoin because where it is now is irrelevant. It's where it is at any point of time during my mining process, which can last for, I think, up to 5 years or so. And I used all these various emails coming through from Agora and South Bank and Palm Beach and all these people as my indicator. I thought, well, right, this is the time to split into the smaller cryptocurrencies because all these people at marketing, I know what they're doing. These are the best marketing people in the world in financial terms, and money is going to pour into these things, and that's why I diversified into all these altcoins, as they're called, Dogecoin, Dash, Ethereum. I got about 15 of them now, and some of them are up 10 times. And I think it's purely because all these guys are marketing, and that was a very very good indicator, I thought.
So it's not tulips or South Sea bubbles. It's not tulips or South Sea bubbles though.
No, because I think there's the very real value in the cryptos. I mean, if you look at the state of the dollar, of sterling, and euro, and the way that the governments have just destroyed the value, just as the Romans did back in AD 56 to 256, where they basically just took out the silver content from the denarius. So it was 100% silver at the start, and 200 years later it had, I think, less than 1% silver, and the Roman Empire collapsed. And I'm not saying we're going the same way, but it's a very destructive way to go. The government gets too big, it just wants more and more money, and it'll do anything to get it. And it will, as we saw in Cyprus, just take your cash from your bank account. It's an alarming statistic. I think debt in the US, I forget the figures now, but let's say debt in the US is 20 trillion, and guess what? The pension scheme's value is 20 trillion. So you can see the temptation to grab the pension scheme money and pay off the debt. And at worst, the more this debt gets out of control, the more they're going to start looking. Well, how do we? Oh, there's some bank accounts. Let's grab that guy's bank account or whatever. And I think it's a dangerous place to be at the moment. I just don't like the way it's going because the government just can't control itself for whatever reason. I think perhaps it's a human instinct, the way human beings always push things too far, perhaps, especially in groups. And I think the cryptos are here to stay. Having said that, they will have some fairly serious falls, as we've seen, but they're all buying opportunities. Okay, now that will at some stage we're going to get a bigger fall, as of course we've seen in stock markets. It's people say that crypto is a bubble, as if it's something that's unheard of. But we've seen the internet bubble in 2000. We've seen all these other bubbles that keep as I say, the tulip bubble, and everybody goes on about the tulip bubble because it's ridiculous, perhaps. But all the stock market bubbles, the internet bubble, the bubbles are common to markets, not just Bitcoin and tulips. So I think that's an important point to make, really. I'm just trying to change this slide, but for some reason my buttons aren't working. Let me just see if I can. That's sort of strange.
Yeah, I mean, Tina's just saying, is it a bit late now to go into crypto? Has the boat sailed?
Well, I mean, it depends how you look at it. There was a time when for 100 Bitcoin you could buy a pizza. and people were saying a few weeks later, perhaps, it was a bit late now, and I've been saying it's a bit late now ever since it started. Yeah, my view is going to. I think the current rally will go to 5,000. I think that's my expectation. If I can get rid of this initial slide, which seems to be permanently stuck on my screen, let me just try a different button. I think I'll just.
I can't help you, I'm afraid.
Something's locked up. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I'm just saying I've been trained to the 80s, written various books, including The Way to Trade, which have been available in Chinese, Russian, and German. That's the original version. I can't go see my slides. Can I get rid of this panel? I just get rid of it like that, I suppose. No. This. Okay. Right, so I'm actually a relative newcomer myself. I started in November 2016. That should be not.
John, we're
not
still
18.
looking at the slide.
You can see the slide or not?
We're still looking at the Chinese copy of Way to Trade.
Are you?
So
why would that be? Still or not?
It's just it looks as if it's a. Oh no, something's happening there.
I mean, it says show screen. My screen's got the
Okay.
updated slide on it.
Oh, okay. No, it's updated for me now. Here I'm looking at cryptocurrency trading in red letters up across the top.
Okay. I should say I started in November 2016 with $4,000, and by June 2017, my crypto business was worth $39,000, and that was entirely grown from the $4,000. I put no more money into that business, so just that $4,000 was it. I've got a problem with this slide somehow. Oh, there we go. And there are 5 distinct factors to this 800% gain in 8 months. Firstly, I mined Bitcoin by a company called BitClub Network, which I found to work extremely well. As I say, I was recommended into it by a guy who'd been in it for a year before. He doubled his money. And since then, I met a few other people who've been in it for 2 or 3 years. And nobody has a bad word to say about BitClub Network, except for people who have never been in it. And people who've never been in it seem to think it's some kind of scam or something. But of course, I have no knowledge of it because I've never actually been involved. And all the people who actually have been involved, like myself, have found it works seamlessly and it works really well. Anyway, that's all I can say. And I'm very happy I made that initial investment because obviously it's grown extremely well over that 8-month period. I've also suggested other people do the same. And if they do that, I don't try and sell this. I always think that you must go into this because you want to. And you must go in. And I think putting a large sum in is a mistake. There are risks involved. I mean, we have this possible fork in Bitcoin at the moment, which we'll be talking about later. But that's one example. If there was a fork in Bitcoin, then quite how it'd be handled, I don't know. I mean, Ethereum went through a fork and it all came out right at the end of the day. But at the time, I mean, it could be a great buying opportunity. I think that the one thing we've seen so far is every time it goes down, it's a great time to buy. And we just actually probably missed an opportunity just a few days ago. I was having lunch in Italy on Sunday when Bitcoin hit $1,800, sadly, because it's now shot up to $2,500. One of the features of the cryptos is they do in days what stock markets tend to take months or even years to do. And it's quite a shock really to see things move so quickly. But it's all energy. You know, Bitcoin is an energetic item. And you know, the internet was perhaps the first thing when energetic communications became so commonplace. And now we have a coin, or a number of coins, in fact, which are similar. And I think that moving onto an energetic plane is the way we're evolving. So I think Bitcoin has come at the right time. That's one of the reasons I think that this is here to stay. So I said in April I traded about $3,000 worth of Bitcoin for smaller cryptos. Some of which rose 10 times because all this money was flooding in, and these guys are recommending a smaller cryptos. To give some kind of comparison, Apple is around about $800 billion worth market cap, well, the whole crypto space is around $100 million, so $100 billion of market cap. So it's very small at the moment, and people divert quite small sums of money from the stock markets, which are going through a peaking process, and we're expecting a peak probably next year. Certainly, well, actually expecting a peak almost immediately, with some kind of low during August, then another rally up into some point next year, and then a major peak next year. And if only a small part of that cash goes out of the stock market and decides to go and find a home in Bitcoin, it'll transform the whole market hugely. So again, I think there's no way that you've missed the boat. I mean, if you missed the boat of getting in at 1p or something, or £1 or $10 or $100, because now it's up in the thousands. But I think there's plenty of growth left, because it's actually becoming more commonplace. As Simon said, all these people are emailing now about all these various services, are emailing so that to get people involved, and they're good salesmen. They've got a very good story to tell because of these incredible gains. People can see what's happening, and so people are being dragged into the market. This is the way markets work, the tulip market or the internet boom, whatever you want to call. People see what's happening and they get involved. The sad thing is, many or most, in fact, get involved at the peaks. That's when the psychological draw is the strongest. And what I'd like to see is people listening to this webinar get in now. If they're not involved already, then just get in. In a small way. Okay, I'm not trying to tell people they should, sell the house and put everything, because that's not. I think it'd be foolish. You don't need to. I mean, my experience has been that a small sum, $4,000, has grown very nicely into $40,000 or thereabouts. It has fallen back a bit since then, but that's the way to do it. Don't wait until the thing is so irresistible that it really is a bubble, and it really is going to burst, just like the internet bubble and imperial bubble. Get in when it makes sense. So, but that's all I can really say on this. And trading directly as well is another way that I manage these things. I've actually written a course, and I'm happy to give you 2 free modules. Excuse the rather grand graphics. My graphic designer thought this was appropriate. Anyway, it's called the Bitcoin Business in a Box. And there are 8 modules in total, and there are the links to 2 of those modules, the first 2. So it's my website, www.johnpiper.info/BBB1 stop PDF, and the same with BBB2 stop PDF. So you're welcome to have those as a total freebie. If you email me on this address, John Piper at big. So that should be big call. You're all a bit rushed today, as I said. So that should be bigcall.com.co.uk. I will send you a little note. I mean, the course is not expensive. It's £97 for the full 8 modules, and it'll show you how I've done what I've done with these things. So you've got that now. Just email me and I'll send. But Simon's got my email as well.
I've just put that email into the chat box, everybody. So
okay.
Just copy it out of the chat box.
John. Okay, it's john@bigcall.co.uk. So I was a bit more rushed than I thought today. As I say, what is Bitcoin? Well, just try it and see. I have tried to explain it to people, and they just look baffled. I think the best thing is just to get involved with the thing and make some money. Because either get involved now or regret it as the rally unfolds, or you consider it again. I mean, certainly I read the book by Dominic Frisby, I think maybe 2 years ago. I don't know what it's called, but it's got Bitcoin in the title. And at the time I thought, well, I'll buy some of these things, and I just dropped it. And if I had done, then I'd be looking probably at a few £100,000 now, I would suspect. But I just didn't do it, and that I missed the boat, I guess, on that occasion. But luckily I didn't miss the boat back in November 2016. So yeah, back in 2010, 100 Bitcoin to buy you a pizza. Now 100 Bitcoin to buy you a very nice penthouse apartment in southern Spain, which is where I am at the moment. In 10 years' time, it's quite possible you could buy you a mansion in the centre of London. You have to pity the poor guy who was mining Bitcoin back in the very early days, and his girlfriend got pissed off with the sound of the computer whirring away at night, and told him that it wasn't. She couldn't see the point; had no value. Why bother? So he stopped mining these things, and the computer eventually ended up in the trash. And he had 300,000 Bitcoin at that time. So that's what, about $10 million or thereabouts. Having discovered this, he did he thought, well, the computer must exist somewhere, and he tried to trace the trash collection process, so he could actually recover his computer and his $10 million. So he didn't actually miss the boat, but he fell off somewhere, which I can't imagine actually how that would feel to have that sort of situation. I imagine he recovered, but it may well have taken a little bit of time, I guess. Right, question, Simon, are there any questions that you have at the point?
Yes, John, a few questions coming in. Richard says, one cannot eat crypto or use it to make products or grow crops. So is it worth anything at all? And this actually does tie in with one or two other questions, which are basically what you can do with
You can't
crypto.
eat gold either, can you?
Why does it exist, and what are people doing with it? Just on a more aside from the trading it on the practical level, do you have any information on what it's being used for?
Well, you're in China, where they have quite vigorous exchange controls, and you don't like the way the government's behaving. You think it might steal your money, as the Cyprus government did, as other governments might well do. You can put your money into a crypto and transfer it anywhere in the world. Well, it will just keep it, and if you want to then leave China, you can pick it up wherever you are. You save all the rather expensive charges the banks will impose upon you if you did it any other way. All the exchange rates, that kind of stuff, and you know you've got your money out of China. So that's one example. Tokyo's, I think Japan has just approved Bitcoin for general purchases, so you can buy many things with cryptos. You can buy my search, you can buy my course with cryptos if you wanted to, or Bitcoin, and there are many other people with the same view. There's a guy called the Crypto Anarchist, I think, does some really interesting videos. I mean, the people who basically live cryptos. I mean, this particular guy said the other day, which I thought was quite interesting, it makes me sick to my stomach to think of having to convert my Bitcoin back into fiat currencies. I can understand that. You know, they're a disaster. You know, you have these things, and they just depreciate, give you no interest. There's risk of the government seizing them, and that may seem far-fetched, but it's happening in Cyprus. I was told yesterday by somebody who's very well informed that was a test by the UK, US governments to see how it went. We've had the cash seizure in India. You know, I think this is the world we live in. You know, the governments have got out of control. Their spending's out of control. They need a constant source of finance, and people with money are a good source, a good target for this kind of thing. But they can be used just like, I mean, they're more useful than gold, for example. I mean, let's take gold for a start. The price of gold is a matter of opinion, really, or it's a matter of market forces, as is Bitcoin. You know, that's what makes up the price. So that's what people think. I always feel that the market often knows better than the individual, and I think the current rally is a good example of that. In fact, you know, I think this fork that has been a worry is probably not a worry anymore, and I think that's why we bounced so strongly at the weekend on Sunday. Yeah, any other questions, Simon?
Yes. Well, one question about the trading of Bitcoin. Then, do you use any combination of technical analysis, fundamental analysis to trade?
Yes, I mean, I'm looking at it in a minute. Actually, I mean, personally, I tend to use pattern analysis. So, I mean, there's a very good trend line I'm going to show you, and there's some Elliott wave patterns I'm going to show you. So that's the kind of stuff I use because I feel they have some relevance. I'm not too keen on technical indicators generally. Having said that, if they work for you, that's absolutely fine. I don't have any. I'm not sort of somebody who says that you must do what I do. I think you should do what works for you.
Do you trade crypto in a separate crypto exchange, for example, Poloniex, or do you trade in a regular platform, for example, Plus 500?
Currently, it's quite hard to trade on Poloniex. You need to deposit. I think if you want to, let's see how it works. If you want to buy Bitcoin on margin, you need to deposit whatever you're buying them with. So maybe US dollar Tether, which is a crypto that mirrors the US dollar. Then you want to sell Bitcoin, you've got to deposit Bitcoin into Poloniex. So it's a fairly, and then they charge you interest. I didn't really, I lost interest. It got so complicated that it just didn't seem worth doing. I signed up to Currencies, which I thought might solve the problem. It does give you good charts, but it doesn't. It just links up to the various exchanges. Now, currently I'm using IG and FX Choice, neither which is ideal. IG charges you a 10 to 20 point spread, which is really exorbitant, with a minimum of £5 a point. I mean, the minimum is not really a problem, but if you've got a spread of 10 points, then you're immediately down 50 quid, which is not really ideal from a trading point of view. FX Choice has a tighter spread of 5 points and no minimum, but they close Saturday and Sunday, and IG is closed on Saturday, in fact. And these things trade 24/7. So on FX Choice, you couldn't trade on Sunday even if you wanted to. At least on IG you could trade, but we had these quite wide spread.
What is the reference that gives the value to bitcoins? Is it the dollar?
No, it has its own value. You don't need a reference. I mean, it's trading widely. You look at Poloniex as an example. You see that the bids and offers on Poloniex, they're quite deep and quite sizable, and that's what is the value. You've got people buying, selling all the time. That's just one exchange. And what about coins quoted in virtually anything you care to mention?
Mm-hmm. Is there a minimum amount that you can invest into Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Yeah, I mean, you can go over 10. You put £10 if you want to. I mean, the mining shares are more expensive. I think the minimum is $500, and the best package is, the best value package is $3,500. The one I went for, my colleagues went for. So it depends what you want to do, but there's no minimum at all. I mean, my brother, I asked him to buy some for me. He bought £100 worth of Ethereum at one point, and he's now snaffled these. I find it's always a mistake. I had a problem with Coinbase because I couldn't, because I'm a UK national but I'm a Spanish resident. There's a bit of a problem with they couldn't seem to accept this. Well, not very unusual, but anyway, whatever it was, I couldn't actually open the account with Coinbase, so I got my brother to do it.
What about Coinify? Is that something you've come across?
I've heard of Conergy. I'm not sure. I may have heard of Coinify. I have no. I think I may have heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is. If you mean Conergy, then we're looking at it in a minute, actually.
Oh, okay. Richard comes back and says you must have fiat to pay for taxation, whether we like it or not, even if everyone else accepts bitcoins. Well, that's a good point.
No, sure. I mean, I'm certainly not. I mean, I've only been in this for a few months now. I haven't switched to it at all, but I'm finding my way, and it's been a very profitable experience so far. And I think it's going to continue to be a profitable experience. I mean, so far, every time it's in a decline, it's been a very good buying opportunity. And I think that will continue for some time to come. And certainly this pattern, we've got a very clear corrective pattern here with a nice sharp low. And if the fork's out of the way, then I think it's going to just go straight up now.
Fantastic. Okay, shall we continue a little bit? Let some more questions come in while we're waiting.
Is it possible to have a rough idea how many people in the audience are actually involved with cryptos? It'd just be interesting to know. I mean,
We get a Y for yes if you have any crypto investment, or no if you have no. Okay, that's interesting. Yes. Okay, it looks as if it's about, I would say about 70 to 30 no, but there are, I would say about a third of the respondents
have an interest in.
Probably more like a quarter now. There's much more no's to me.
Good. I mean, I like the no's because I feel that the upside potential is largely due to the number of people who aren't involved. So the more people aren't involved, the better. So I'd like the more no's as possible, because you're the guys who will eventually get in once it becomes irresistible. And I just hope you get in sooner rather than later, so you make money rather than end up buying in at a peak, basically. That's my overall view on the situation. But anyway, thank you for that. All right, my focus today, although we're already halfway through, I think, is trading Bitcoin. Something called time price analysis, which is a new service we're just launching, combining Hurst time cycles and Elliott wave theory. Quite interesting, because the time cycles actually give you a timing, so you actually can see when you're going to see important peaks and troughs. And link that to Elliott wave theory, which has a similar pattern on price, or a similar effect on price. And you get some very interesting information coming through. Sadly, Bitcoin is too young in the tooth of that, but we'll have a look at some, just briefly go through what we're expecting. It's getting down again. What we're expecting going into next year. If only because I want to get on record what we're expecting, just so that you can say, well, he did say that then, and hopefully, well, it's not hopefully, because we're expecting a major peak in stock markets next year, which will probably be a major bear market. Which is actually what I say at the end here. What will happen to Bitcoin when we see the major peak in stock markets? I think probably money will start flowing. People get out of the markets sooner the better. And money will start to flow into things like cryptos, but they're so small that could have a massive effect on the price of Bitcoin and the other various cryptocurrencies. Right, well, let's have a look at the chart. What have I got here? So look at the energy chart. Okay, I'm on the wrong. Right, this is a website called Currencies, which has the best charts I've come across. I can't actually draw trend lines, it's very easy, but you can see that low here, which is around 1800 back. Actually, I've got a cursor, haven't I? Back in May. So we saw this very rapid decline from this peak here at 2760 down to 1800, so pretty much 1,000 points in I think about 3 days, in fact. So it was a very rapid response, and of course everybody's saying, "Oh my God, it's all over." It's whichever. So many people say this again and again and again, but buyers came in almost immediately and stuck it back up. So I think it went above 3,000. In fact, I'm not sure that shows in this chart. That's a 4 and a 5 pattern. So we've seen the end of a wave there on the Elliott wave terms. We then saw another big decline, and all these links. It's a shame I can't draw anything on here. I think there is a way, but it's quite complicated. But if you sign up with Currencies, you get a 30-day free trial. You can dig this chart up, and you'll see that this line actually links. I can't even do that, can I? The low there, the low there, the low there, the low there, all match up. And there's a trend line attached to all of those, and then when it broke, it just went straight down. So that was an ideal sell signal. There's also, in fact, the actual pattern here in Elliott terms is this is an A wave going down, ABC A wave. So you got the A wave there, B wave, and then a C wave making A. Then you got an A, B, then you got a triangle. So those 3 points there are the lower parameters. These 3 there, the upper parameters. So that's a B wave, followed by the C wave decline, hitting the same level approximately as we saw back in May. Now that's pretty much a perfect pattern. The A wave, which is this wave here, is equivalent to the size of the C wave, which is the idealized pattern. I thought we were going to go a bit lower because, firstly, I was thinking that we see a 5 wave pattern here. But this is a very dynamic market. I also thought that the fork, this idea that Bitcoin might split into 2, was a very real worry, and I rather expected this to be delayed until August. I should learn my lessons really, because I find that the price action is far more important than the news. And very often, when you get a very clear pattern, I find the price action actually dictates or predicts the news. I think what we're seeing here is a very clear prediction that we saw actually down here, because it was a very strong reaction, that this fork is actually just a red herring, that it's not going to be a problem, that's been dealt with, and we're just shooting up. And I expect this rally to take us to $5,000. So it's certainly above the previous peak we saw in June, around $3,000. Although of course Coinbase just announced it doesn't support the hard fork, which is interesting. It should come in just as I'm talking about it. So maybe we'll see a bit of a pullback now. I mean, I guess anyway, that's my overall view. We've seen a very sharp reaction to that level. It's the obvious level to buy in. If one was this fork and the wave pattern, I would have bought that without any doubt. And in fact, it was Sunday and I was having lunch with friends, and it moved very quickly. But my view is that the low's in. Okay, some bad news could come out, but it looks to me that it's looking good. And I think we're just going to go up from here. Obviously, there will be, it won't be a straight line. We'll always see ups and downs, ABCs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Now I've got an Elliott wave pattern here, which I'll just switch to now. This is a colleague of mine called Bill Adlard. He's a very proficient Elliott wave analyst. This is a log scale chart, and you need log scale when you get these kind of movements. I won't go through the full count. I mean, you can take a screenshot if you want to look at this in more detail, or you can email me. I'll send you a copy of the chart. But basically, what we're seeing is that we're currently seeing this 4 wave here, and he's expecting a 5 wave. And in log terms, 5,000 is the obvious target there. These are fib extensions for those of you who use them, and it's a very clear corrective pattern. I think I haven't seen a clearer corrective pattern for a long time. I think. I mean, the wave patterns on the stock indices get so complicated these days, but on Bitcoin it's all nice and simple. And I think now we're on our way up to 5,000. So it's a question of just choosing your entry point, applying your stop if you want to trade, or just buying your mining shares, letting the mines churn away. And within a few months you'll have well, it depends on what you put in, but as I say, I put in $3,500, and I got 1.2 Bitcoin out of the mining shares. And you want to put more in, then you can do, and obviously, but keeping keeping it small is the key thing. Don't overextend. And if you keep it small, you never become a weak holder. I mean, if it's money that you can afford to lose, then you're not going to be nervous and bail out just because it's gone down a bit. Which of course, you go in too heavily, then that'll happen to you. You put in, I don't know, 100,000, and that's half your pot, as it were. And you see a thing go down from 3,000 to 800 as it just has. It's unlikely you'll be staying with that move probably. But you're in a smallish position to just let it. Let the cryptos build your funds for you. And I guess the smaller coins, if Bitcoin's going to double now, then the smaller coins will probably go up 10 times again, I would think, because they're much smaller. You want to look at I can't remember the name of the website now, but there's a website that lists, if you just search Bitcoin market capitalization, there's a website that lists all 700 coins, and the top 20 are the ones I tend to invest in, and they're around 300 million. And you just want to do a bit of research. My modules, so the 8-module course, one of the modules is about how to research different coins, and choose ones you like. I mean, I've got Dogecoin, Ant shares. The Ant shares are good. They're a Chinese coin. Gulden, which is a Dutch coin, and all Dash and whatever Zed Cash, but they're liable to gain more strongly within a rally. But don't rely on just one, because if you choose one, you might just be unlucky. But a handful of them, you'll probably end up with 3 or so which do really well, even if a couple of them fall by the wayside. Any more questions, Simon? While I look for the next chart.
Yeah. Marguerite is asking, without all these other cryptocurrencies coming into existence, how do you choose which one? How do you, I suppose, compare one with the other?
My main, well, I say it's in one of the modules, but my main, well, I look at the market cap. I like to see that it's got beyond the sort of trivial. Although in this area, even the really small coins seem to have $1 million plus. And I like to see it's been around for a while. Look at the price chart. I don't like to buy at the top. So with Ant shares, for example, I think they've gone up to 10, but they've fallen back to 5. And we'll finally get them at 5. I look at the website. I look at the sort of ethos of the thing, the rationale behind it, or what it's got that's perhaps a bit different. I mean, in the case of Ant shares, they're geared for the Chinese market. So it's a Chinese type of Bitcoin, I guess. I went to the EOS recently, which is very high tech and quite good videos on YouTube about EOS. Explain which I haven't. Again, I can give you a link if you want to email me, and a good insight into how it all works and the actual tech behind the coins, and how Ethereum is getting into trouble. I mean, Bitcoin, of course, is getting into trouble with the volumes, because when the guy sat down to Satoshi in I think 2009 to write his paper and everything else, he never anticipated that we'd be doing, I know, was it 200,000 transactions an hour or something, or maybe it's even more frequent than that. And the fact that his basic plan is still holding out at this point is a huge testament to his abilities, I think. So it's that's how I do it. I say there was a module on that, but it's just basic research. I start with the capitalization, and then just research what I can, basically. But the price chart certainly one of those things. Right, I mentioned major roadmaps. I think we're setting a peak in all markets and falls over the next few weeks. I'm talking about the stock market, so FTSE, DAX, and S&P, with major lows coming in either August, September, and then we should see a strong rally coming in. It will not all be one way into probably the middle of next year, when we're going to see some major peaks. These major peaks are expected in the S&P, DAX, and FTSE. So that's basically the call. It's much more detailed than that, but if you want the full details, we'll have to ask you to subscribe to the new service. If you're interested at all, then just drop me an email. Similarly with gold, we're looking for a rally now into August. I don't know how many follow gold. I've been investing in gold for a while now. And it is my major investment. In fact, it's my major investment vehicle. I've got coins, ETFs, stocks, etc., etc. I've been looking for a major rally, but the time price analysis suggesting that we may barely make it above 1300 on this occasion, with a fall coming in into November, and then a major buying opportunity in November 2017. But that's the major roadmap going forwards. I'm using whether I'll be selling all my stocks at this forthcoming peak, or whether I'll be just hedging if I need to, remains to be seen. But it looks like gold will come good, but I say it may not be until a little bit later in the year, by which time most people have probably given up, because it's been a bit of a rough ride recently, certainly. Okay, that basically covers what I wanted to say. I've covered the brokers. I think Aondo also trade Bitcoin. I haven't had a chance to research that yet. It'd be good to find a betting site that allows you a small spread. I mean, 1 point would be ideal, obviously, but less than 5 would be great. No minimum for smaller traders, and 24/7 trading. So if anybody actually knows of any betting sites that do that, or at least come closer than I've got with IGNFX Choice, then please let me know. So much information pouring in all the time that it is quite mind-boggling, really. So I'm very happy to get any help I can on any of these things. That really concludes what I plan to say today. I say the first 2 modules are free, and you get them on those links. Email me for more details, and you want free reports, then just email me at jptt@aweber.com. Otherwise, I'm very happy to answer any questions there might be. Simon?
Yes, John, I am typing the links in for these modules, these PDF modules, into the chat box. So rather than people scribbling them down, you can just click straight onto it. So chromepiper.info /. Okay, so we've done easily there. So the 2 links there. I've made a typo in the second.
Amend that.
No,
yeah, sorry about the typos. I had a 12-hour meeting yesterday. It was a 12-hour train journey on Monday, and it's just been one of those weeks this week. I had to take 6 vehicles on Monday, 2 taxis, 3 trains, and 1 plane to get back from back from Massa Carrara in Italy to Malaga in Spain. So it was quite a trek, really. It's a pretty busy week. Okay. One last point. I feel like there is one other point I should mention. My business in a box actually combines business, trading, and investing, and I think I really like that. The fact that you've got 3 major operations to make money, all in one strategy on Bitcoin. So the business is the mining, yeah, and also suggesting it to other people. I say suggesting, not selling. You know, people have to make their own choices. Just make them aware of what is available. It's actually amazing, really. Trading, so buying, either just trading on websites or trading your Bitcoin for altcoins or vice versa, whatever you feel like, and investing in mining shares, investing in Bitcoin, and just being an investor, holding rather than chopping and changing all the time. And the combination of those three is actually very powerful. And because if one isn't working, then you're still making money on the other two. And so far, I think all three have been going well. But I'm sure there'll be times when one or the other doesn't go quite so well. But it's a good combination, essentially.
Well, John, you answered my call for help on Saturday. Looking for.
My pleasure, Simon.
And no, I'm grateful to you for that. I really am. We did also receive some other great recommendations back. So it could be that actually this is an area bubble. Who knows? Let's have a look. Let's keep looking at it, monitoring it. I think it might be worthy of another sort of event. Maybe we can get 2 or 3 heads together and do something more on it as well, because it's a huge area.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd certainly enjoy that myself.
I can see by the amount of questions, it's stirring up some skepticism, it's stirring up some enthusiasm.
You can't be, at the end of the day, the price is actually what it is. I mean, it's hard to be skeptical about it. It's doing what it's doing because people believe.
That's right.
I mean, markets are all the same. It's not like these falls are unique to Bitcoin. Every other market in the world has this kind of action. So it's.
I think it's maybe skepticism as to how long it might continue. Perhaps that's a fair, and whether it's fair or not, who knows? It just this is what it is. Supply and demand.
It'll continue until the skeptics are involved, in which case it'll probably collapse.
That's it, very much. But it gets the headlines of the newspapers. That's normally when to sell. That's what they used to say. Well, John, thank you for that. Just 1 or 2 final questions. How does Brexit affect the cryptocurrencies? Justin's asking. Does it have any effect?
I wasn't involved then, actually. I mean, it went. I know that I got in at 700. My colleague Graham got in at, I think, $200. So I mean, between October 2015 to 16, it trebled from 200 to 700. So it didn't have much effect. I don't see why I should. I mean, the whole point of Bitcoin is it's a global currency. So it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, Brexit, as far as the global market is concerned. So I don't think it's an issue, really.
Okay, fantastic. Now I'm just clicking on that link. The first link is the BBB1 PDF. That is working fine. I've typed the second link in a bit too quickly, and up here just discovered there's a type of error there. So it's johnpiper.info/bbb2.pdf, and I'll do it again just because I think it's important that people get this. .info/bbb2.pdf. Okay, so apologies, people. I'm doing the old fat finger trader thing there. That final link there should take you to the second one, and the first one is further up in the list, BBBB1, and that's fine. There you are, James. Thank you. You've tested it. It's working. Okay, so interesting stuff. John, I think we'll let you go. There's no more questions that I can see coming in here. So thank you very much. James is just saying thank you. Some great response coming in. So,
okay, well, I'm glad that people like it, and thank you for having me, Simon. My pleasure.
My pleasure. Well, I'll be down in your neck of the woods quite shortly, so hopefully we can get that lunch again, which will be quite good.
Yes, indeed. I'll look forward to that.
Catch up.
Cheers, then.
Take care. Thank you very much. Bye.
Mm-hmm.